Hi guys, this is Wences from Below the Radar Above the System, and today's topic is how to deal with an ENTP if you're an INFJ. The hidden agenda of an ENTP is to be loved, because they tend to have these great ideas. ENTPs are big idea people, and they wanna be praised for those ideas. They have like crazy ideas and they want to do this and that, and they feel like they have the right to tell everybody and to do, bring their thoughts to the outside as well. And a lot of times, because they're kind of like they have rather strong opinions which don't fit into society, some people kind of push them out. It's a little bit similar to how we INFJs are perceiving the outside world. But the difference is the ENTP, because they have a strong thinking preference, they really and they're extroverts, they express their opinions more. So they have ideas and really great things that go through their head, and what they're gonna do with the day, and how to see this kind of thing and that, and which can bring a lot of creativity and new things into the world. And they're not as concerned with keeping the peace as we INFJs are. So we kind of like just keep to ourselves and don't bring everything out, and therefore we kind of feel like we're suppressed. And ENTPs feel like they want people to like them for their ideas, they want people to like them for who they are and what they bring. And this is a very sensitive point to them. My father is an ENTP, and he was always different. He was different, but he wasn't about to hide it like I was. And he was, of course, different in completely different things. I was more into relationships, more into psychology, how this works, how that person feels, whatever. My dad was always more about politics, more about what are we gonna do on vacation, where are we gonna go, I'm gonna organize this and that and see everything. And he wanted to be liked for that, and he was very sensitive towards that. So my father was definitely not the healthiest ENTP, but as a kid I didn't appreciate him in his opinion to that point, because I didn't, his ideas didn't interest me, and I kind of let him know that. And so we had confrontations a lot, because in his eyes I didn't respect him enough. If you're a healthy ENTP, you can understand that. But another problem between this whole relationship was that I wasn't expressing my feelings either. I was a kid back then, so let's forget that. But nowadays, if you're an adult INFJ and you have an adult ENTP across from you, express your emotions. That's what they do. That's what they do. When they don't like something, they say it. If you don't like the way they're acting, just tell them. It might shock them at some point, but you'll see people when you tell them your emotions and how you feel about certain things, they might get offended for one moment, but in the long run it's always better, because you're free. You told them who you are, you told them how you see things, and you can have a really great relationship with an ENTP if you see the similarities, as in you're different, but you're different than the norm, but you're different in different directions. And if you appreciate the other one for bringing out who they are, then you can have a really meaningful and deep relationship. But very importantly is that you state what it is. If the ENTP hurts you, then tell them, you hurt me with this. I don't think you're being sensitive. I don't think you're looking out for my emotions and how I feel. And then they'll understand. It's not it's not as easy for them to really understand what's going on in other people's heads if you're not really telling them. So make a point out of really make sure that you put an extra effort into explaining what you mean and explaining what hurt you. And it's really difficult in the beginning. Like I've gotten into fights with my father the last 1 or 2 years, and it was the first time for a long time, because before that I don't see my father that often, but before that I just distant myself to him. And there was something missing, and I really like to have a good relationship with him, but it was just too painful because he didn't care about my feelings. But it was not only his fault, like 100% not, because he's not an INFJ. He cannot know, can't have that intuition of my feelings and how my emotional state is. And the last 2 years I made a point out of telling him, you know, I don't think you were being sensitive. I don't think you understand. I don't think you care about me. Which of course I know he cares about me, but that's how I felt at that moment. And a lot of this really helped us to get to a better place, to know like what boundaries, where everybody's boundaries are, and we also know what to appreciate about the other one. Like I really appreciate his strength for putting out what is really his idea and bringing new ideas and new perspectives into the world. And a lot of people don't take him that serious because he's not the SJ type, as in, you know, the perfect, help society, sees everything, and so on. And he's been pressured all his life to be more like SJ, and he's just not. And once, like when my parents were together, my mom is an ESFJ, and I could tell he wasn't in the healthiest place. He wasn't happy. This, you know, a whole different story, but the point was that once my parents got separated and he got back, he like was around his friends and he chose his environment, he was much healthier. It's very hard if somebody tries to push you in one direction and you don't really know what to do in order to stop that. And for ENTPs, it's important that they understand that they have to have their own space. They have to be able to express their kind of living, and we can really help each other and motivate each other to do that and to encourage the other one to do their way. But it's difficult to find like a place where both can work together. Like I know couples, INFJ and ENTP, who work very well together, and it's a great thing, but it's important that you understand those differences and you complement each other in exactly those things and the areas that person is interested in, but also stating everything that you feel is not being done correctly towards you. With my father, I also had this story. I came back from the States when I was like 16 after a year, and it was really hard for me, and I didn't get along with my host family, and I saw him at the airport and I just started crying, and we haven't really talked about it now, like over, you know, more than 10 years later. My brother is in the States and he's also having a problem with his host family, and then I wrote him and I got really emotional and I told him that's exactly how I felt, and the people alienated me because I was different and so on. And then he's like, oh, now I can so even more understand what you were going through back then when you saw me, and you were so relieved that you were back home. ENTPs can be really emotional people and they can really feel for you, but you have to be willing to take the risk to express it. And don't be like, the more you're grounded in who you are, the more you learn what your own happiness is, the more you're willing to open up in this way. So don't feel like because you don't want to have that close relationship and go into other people's mental lives and live there and so on, that you're kind of like isolating yourself. Being independent gives you the possibility to connect with people on a lot easier way, because you're not doing it so those people will need you. There's always like been this, I've told you this, there's always this control thing, because every brain, everything we do it with a purpose, and there's like a selfish purpose behind it, something that's good for us. Even if we help other people, it's because it makes us feel good, you know, just like on a really psychological level. I'm not talking morally here. But once you know that you don't need other people to need you for your own happiness, you can be much more open and tell people who you really are, and not really care that they don't like you or they don't understand you. And you'll see once you do that, because I've been doing this like this the last 1 or 2 years, most people don't even care. Like, for most people, nothing changed. The people around me changed automatically. Some people were much more interested in me that weren't before, and others like didn't really care that much for me. But it's nothing really changed in that apartment. Like my life just got easier because I was really able to express myself. And for ENTPs, it's the exact same thing. And that's the kind of help we can give each other. And it's also important that we don't, they're constructivists, as in they don't want you to have, like in general, of course, to have sympathy with them. They want people to help them get a solution and to understand how to go about something, and to support them and so on. It's not, it's different for us. So don't think like if they're just giving you like ways you can work and they're not really giving you that much sympathy, that it's a problem because they don't like you. It's just the way they're, they're seeing the world. Okay, so yeah, if you have any questions, if there's something we can talk about it more and specifically, just let me know. Okay, bye.